frequency been way up, way up. Get on my way, it's too easy, it's a layup. Get on my way.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bunker Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Mavunga, and I'm here with another great interview today. George Hill of the Milwaukee Bucks, man. Great dude. He's a great basketball player. He's an investor. He's active in the community. He's a family man, a father, and a husband. And this dude is one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce him. G. Hill, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Staying out the way.
Staying out the way. It's kind of crazy right now because, you know, I just got back from Japan and we just holed up in the house. We're not really doing anything else. Like, what's my life like for you since everything kind of went down?
I mean, same thing. You know, it's kind of crazy here. You know, you're so used to, I mean, as you know, playing basketball every day on a daily basis. You have your routines. You know what you're going to do every morning, every night. To have nothing. So it's kind of weird. It's almost like you're in a post-retirement situation and you're not retired. So like you said, been sitting at home, spending more quality time with the fam, raising my kids, own a ranch down here. So pretty much just do some ranching stuff, take care of my animals, get out there, shoot some guns, things that I love to do on my off time and just, you know, thank God that life is okay.
All right, now I'm gonna get funny here for a second, just because I'm going off topic. But you just mentioned that you own a ranch. Like, you own a ranch, you got animals. What kind of animals you got?
So right now I'm doing like a bunch of African safaris. So I have like between like zebras, wildebeest, scimitar oryx, Arabian oryx, elk, red stag, aoudad, fallow. I have 10 different forms of rams. You know, you got your super genetic whitetails, you got donkeys and all type of stuff, elands and kudus, just to name a quite a few. So it's all over the place.
It's like you the Black Joe Exotic, for real. Nah, that show is crazy, by the way. But the reason why I wouldn't even ask that, because like later on in the segment, I wanted to talk about, like, you know, you like country music, you know, you like to hunt. And, you know, if I was to ever tell somebody that, oh, I got a friend named George Hill, he likes to hunt. Yeah, he likes country music. He owns a ranch. Nobody will ever guess, you know, it's a young, light-skinned brother that can give buckets.
It's crazy because, I mean, you're from Indianapolis just like me, Brownsburg type feel, but I grew up right in the heart of the city in Indianapolis, 34th and Keystone area, which is a predominantly all African-American, really bad with gang violence and drug selling and things like that. So the reason why is something different beyond that. You know, as I got out of Indianapolis, I got drafted by San Antonio and met a family here in San Antonio that owned a ranch, and they took me out and was like, hey, have you ever shot guns? And, you know, me coming from the city, I'm like, yeah, I shot guns up in the air for New Year's and stuff like that. So they showed me how to break down a rifle, how to shoot it, how to prepare it, how to do all that stuff. And we shot targets, fell in love with it. And they asked me, have I ever hunted before? And I was like, nah, I really ain't never been outside of Indianapolis other than basketball. So went out there, we hunt, shot a deer. They showed me how to gut it, showed me how to process it, make jerky out of it, things like that. And I always told myself from there forward, I was like, man, if I make enough money where I'm financially stable in a situation, I'm going to own a ranch, and not just to have a ranch because, you know, in African-American field, most of the time, you know, it's a lot harder growing up as kids and as individuals sometimes as African-American. So, you know, I always wanted to say, like, when I am not here, I want to be able to leave my kids something that generational wealth. I feel like, you know, other race always have that, you know, when people, their parents or something passed away, things are passed along. And I just want to start that trend. You know, they're not the only race or whatever race that can do it. You know, we're all the same. We all put our pants on the same way. And you just have to choose to want to do that.
I think that's brilliant and wonderful, bro, because I think that a lot of like young guys or, you know, even guys that play basketball or, you know, especially African Americans don't have the opportunity to learn about, you know, generational wealth and learn about kind of like leaving, you know, something for their loved ones. And it's special whenever you get into a situation like you're in now to be an NBA player and you have the chance to, you know, kind of build a legacy, you know, for your family, for your future. So I think that's a great thing. You're talking about investments, man. I might be wrong. It might be in the past, but you're invested in a sauerkraut company?
Yeah, I'm part owner of a sauerkraut company called Cleveland Kraut. We're doing pretty well right now. We just got in a lot of Walmarts, a lot of Targets, Whole Foods. We just dropped our marinade and salad dressing line this year due to the virus right now. Just kind of put it on hold. So we're doing really well. You know, it's just something that I grew up. I always ate sauerkraut with bratwurst and things like that. And I met this group, these brothers that started this company, and they were, you know, doing it out of their house. And I really liked the product and said, man, let's try to take this on a bigger standpoint and try to allow me use my name and things to open doors. And we use your product to knock them down. And I mean, it's been going great. And the guys that I'm working with are some amazing guys. So I can't complain.
That's great. Now you seem to be smart. I don't know anything as far as what you do investment wise. How did you get kind of into investing? Was there a first? Was there a plan? What was your plan whenever you got into just investing in different stuff?
I mean, I was a little different. You know, like I said, I never grew up with money. So to have money, I didn't know what to do with it. You know, most of the guys, when they get it, they want the jewelry, they want the cars, they want the nice house, living a lavish life. And my thing was I came from the city. I came from a small mid-major school, so I didn't know how long I would be in this league. My thing was I'm just thinking that I'm going to be 1-2 years and maybe gone, you know, because with the average of guys' careers, 4.4 in the NBA or a little less. So, you know, I was preparing for the worst. And my thing was, you know, I hired a good financial advisor that I really trust, that we've been friends so far for many years now. And, you know, I trust him with everything he's doing. And one of his main things was, do you want to live a great life now or a great life when you're done playing? And I really didn't think about that at the time. I'm like, I want to live a great life now. You're bugging. Like, who wants to live a great life later? Like, everybody sees you now. Until I got here and I started to see the way Tim Duncan lives and the way Manu and Tony, you know, carried themselves, that it wasn't about jewelry or fancy cars or buying this house and that house. It was more about just live life, how you can make ends meet that's comfortable but not lavish. And then, like, now you see a guy like Tim Duncan that's retired and having the best life ever by reaping all the benefits that he sacrificed before, not having the lavish life. And he has more now because now he's doing things with the money that his money has made, not what's already was in the pot.
So one of my favorite books I've ever read is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the main thing that, you know, he talks about is just why don't they teach us about money? So I think that when a lot of us athletes, you know, on whatever level it is, get this money, they don't really know what to do with it. They don't know what an asset is. They don't know what a liability is, and they don't understand that money isn't going to last forever. So it's a very bright spot. It's a very good thing for me to see, especially, you know, a black man, a young black man that's worried about those types of things. And certainly coming into a situation in San Antonio where you had your role models as, you know, Tim Duncan, you have Manu Ginobili and other guys, and then Coach Popovich, I'm sure that kind of helped mold you and your mindset and how you kind of look at life. Would that be correct to say?
I mean, for sure. You know, coming in here, it just wasn't your typical organization. It was a first-class organization. It was ran a certain way. It wasn't nothing about I. It was more about, you know, we as a team, we as a family. Coach Pop was the head honcho here. So he led the way with how he carried himself, how he conducted himself on and off the court, how we practiced. He was a military guy from the Air Force, so everything had to be the right way and no other way. If it ain't the right way, then you ain't going to be here. So that trickled down into all the players, and you see the way he treat Tim, Manu, Tony, which, you know, he was super hard on them, which gave him the right to be super hard on anyone else because he didn't give them the benefit like, oh, you're Manu or you're Tim or you're Tony. Like, it didn't matter who you were. We're all the same in his eyes. We were all players, but he cared for us the same way. So he kind of hit the nail on the head. And this is how you guys are going to do it. This is how we're going to play. This is how we're going to work out. And there was no other way.
That's man. I can only imagine what it could be like playing for a coach like Pop. It just makes everything else easy. He gives you the blueprint, and it's up to you whether you want to commit to it or not. And I've never played for Pop, but from the outside looking in, as a person that knows the game and understands, you know, that's what it really seems like it was out there in San Antonio. So that was probably a great situation for you to be in. And now you fast forward to your career. What have you learned over your career that has kind of just helped you be in this position where you've been on many teams, but you're still successful. You're still a key player on this team right now?
I mean, just, hitting the nail on the head. Coach Pop always had a thing where you just keep hammering, keep pounding right away. You got that big rock, and you don't know what's going on with that rock until, after pound after pound after pound, you're just focusing like, man, this rock isn't cracking. This rock isn't cracking. Something's going on with the rock. Like, why is it not cracking? Why is it not cracking? But you didn't hit this rock 100 times. And then on that 101st time, that rock cracked. And he always says it's not that swing that made that rock crack. It's the ones that you swung before. So, like, that always stuck with me. And, like, no matter what, I never had anything growing up. Hard work is always going to be there. Being a good teammate is always going to be there. And you got to control what you can control. You can't control anything else other than that. So, being successful is just having the great opportunity and taking advantage of it. And, every team I've been on been the same way. It's not been about me. It's how I can best fit on this team. If it's me being a passer, if it's me being a knockdown shooter, if it's me being a defender, whatever I have to do to be that focal point and be a part of that team in the right way, that's what I always chose to do.
I think that's why you've been successful. You've always been able to be resilient. I mean, every single time that, people will be talking about basketball and I'll be in the room and I'll be like, I know that guy, but they'll be talking, oh, George Hill, he's the tough guy. He's the gritty guy on the team. And I think that you've always played with a chip on your shoulder and you've always, found a way to be successful in just about every single situation you've ever been in. Now, if we're to talk more so about Milwaukee right now, man, you guys had the best record in the league. A lot of people are saying best team in basketball. A lot of people are saying best basketball player in the game, which I don't agree with, which is nothing personal. But what do you have to do right now because your season isn't canceled yet, right? So what do you have to do right now to make sure you're still ready? That cannot be an easy task.
I mean, like you said, it's not easy, going to work every day and then, a month and a half of nothing, not being able to get in the gym, everything's cut down. Like I said, I didn't live that lavish life, so I don't have the super gyms in my house or anything like that. Live in a small house that's affordable. So, most of the gyms shut down, but I kind of took all my cars out the garage and got weights in there. So I do my weights in the mornings on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. My box, I have a trainer that works with me on boxing. So I work on my hands, my feet work, my abs, my conditioning, doing boxing every Tuesday and Thursday. And then when I can, find a gym to get into that people have at their house, I try to get in there as much as possible. But just staying optimistic about things, just staying, positive about every situation and just living life, man. Like, I think sometimes you need these moments in life to readjust your life, to let you know what really means the most, and that's family and your loved ones.
That's great. One thing that you said is you shifted your life to, kind of accommodate everything that's going on. And I did a similar thing. Got a contract to come out and finish out my garage so it could be somewhere I can go in and do my weights and everything. And,
sure.
A lot of people look at it and say, oh, there's, it's just money being spent. But people don't understand how much of an investment that is and how important it is for you to stay in tip-top shape right now, especially with the fact that if 2 weeks from now, the NBA comes back and says, okay, we got to make this happen. We're going to continue the season. You guys got to be ready to continue on playing for the rest of the season.
I mean, for sure, ain't no time to, after they say that, like, oh man, you didn't do nothing for 2 months. No. So like you always got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And, we've always had that slogan, playing in Indy, how tough it was. We played competition every day. It wasn't a day off in Indy, You go to Brownsburg, you had you and Gordon Hayward. You go to LN, you had Greg Oden and Mike. And Pike had Robert and Courtney Lee and all those guys, and Andre Owens and the ones, Robert Vaden. So it wasn't like you had off days when you're playing in Indianapolis in our era. We were going against NBA guys every day. So it kind of gave you that chip on your shoulder always to, you go out there and play. Just like, when me and you worked out in that summer, it was like most time when you playing guys one-on-one, they're like, oh, you're G Hill. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm frightened. No, you were going at me. Like, I'm trying to win and you beat me. You know what I mean? So like, it's things like that you have to do. And that's what makes you better. When you got guys that don't back down, you got guys like, I can be where you are. And that's how we push each other. That's how we evolve. That's how we stay ready. That's how you always have that chip on your shoulder. After that day, I'm like, man, I need to get back in the gym, get stronger, get better separation on my shot, because some of the shots I was taking, you were getting to. I'm like, how's he getting to these? Normally these shots work, but that what motivates you. That you plan, you sharpen and sharpen. Iron's gonna sharpen iron all the time, and that's all we do.
I think that having quality players, especially when people start talking about, oh, we're a basketball city, we're a basketball this, but a place like Indiana, growing up there where you got a bunch of good players that people on the outside maybe have never heard of that are good enough to really challenge you and really put forth the effort that you need to play at a championship level. So that's really important. Now I got to ask, because I already mentioned it, man. You play with LeBron at a peak time in your career. You're playing with Giannis right now at a peak time in your career, bro. And you've been able to find a way to complement both of these players. I just want to hear it from you. What, in your opinion, what are the differences and similarities?
I mean, the difference is experience in one. I think, LeBron has the experience factor, he has the size factor and things like that. I think what is the same is the competitive drive that both of them have. They're both relentless. They're both competitors. They both want to win. They both work extremely hard. Even playing with LeBron, he's one of the best players to ever play this game, if not one of the best. I say top three. In my category, I'm never putting anyone over Jordan. That's just me. In my era, no one's better than Jordan to me. That what he did and what he had, he's my GOAT. In other generations, is not. I put for what Kobe's done, I put Kobe too, that drive that he's always had, and then I put LeBron after that. But like my thing is like when you see those guys, LeBron and Giannis, first ones in the gym, last ones to leave the gym, always watching film, always asking questions, and they're MVPs. But they're always, coach, what do you think about this? Hey, gee, if I did this, what do you think about this? Can you see this? They're always trying to evolve as a player, still as being the best players in the game today. And I think the only difference between the two players is one has experience and one is up and coming with experience. And I think Giannis has a bright future to be one of the best players they ever played in this game. Once he starts to knock down that outside shot consistently like he's been doing this year, and getting better on the mid-range and things like that, oh my goodness, like how do you stop 7-1 coming at you that can actually shoot the three, can put it on the floor, that's strong enough to dunk on you, and they can do all sorts of things? It's almost impossible. So the only difference is experience to me. As far as players, I feel like they're both competitive and they're both the best I've ever played with.
I think that you said it exact. What I will add to that is just LeBron's IQ from day one. I think that he's just a player that everyone wants to play with. He adjusts to every situation, and he's basically a pass-first superstar. And I mean, I can't say that I'll put LeBron ahead of Mike, but he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore as being one of the greatest just to ever touch a basketball.
And that's what people, don't really ever realize. He's always been a pass first guy. But like you said, the IQ comes with experience. He's been battle tested. His IQ has gone so high because he's been through that fire. He's been through the not so good and the very good. So he knows his IQ level sparks at a snap of a finger with any situation that he's put through. And that's what I said. Only with experience he got that. And I feel like, more experience that Giannis gets, the better he's going to get.
Well, I'm not trying to make this a LeBron segment, but my next question, because I think the Lakers, I mean, look, we can argue this, but I think the Lakers were the best team in basketball. That's very big. That's a very big debate for a lot of people. But I think that the team that had the best chance to win was probably you guys. And the reason why I say that is, you look at LeBron's obviously age and continues to stay in it for the rest of the season. And then you look at what AD, will he continue to get hurt? And you look at Giannis and the fact that he's just Iron Man. And then you got guys like you who are resilient guys and guys that can really go out there and compete at a high level for 40 minutes or 48 minutes. Are the Lakers your biggest challenge, would you say? I know there's Boston, I know there's Philly, but are they your biggest challenge to winning the championship?
I mean, that's really hard to say. Last year I didn't think, our biggest challenge, didn't no one think that Toronto was going to do what Toronto did. With this league, you never know. I really like the Clippers in a playoff stance. I think the Clippers, when they're fully healthy, is a very, very tough team when all those guys are healthy and clicking on the right cylinder. They have some dogs down there that will battle you for 48 minutes. And they have a lot of guys who can go out there and get a bucket, which what you need in the playoffs are, late game buckets, guys that can create shots. The Lakers are really good, but like you said, can AD stay healthy? Can LeBron keep it going? And, we're talking about LeBron's historic season, but if we look at stat-wise, AD is almost leading every statistical component that the Lakers have. But can he stay healthy? Then you can't forget about Toronto now. Not having Kawhi, Toronto is still second in the league in the East. So the system that they got is very good. They play at a high level. You can't knock Boston. Boston is great. And then you got some tough guys in Miami that you can't sleep on either, that just dog fight 24/7. So, I think, on paper, for sure, the Lakers are very tough. I think the Clippers will give them a run for their money. So that will be a battle. And then, the East, I feel like we're one of the best teams in the East, but you can't sleep on none of these teams in the East. They're really good, man.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. There's a lot of quality teams, a lot of surprise teams. One of the biggest surprise teams for me this year has been Toronto, because I thought after Kawhi left, I didn't realize they still had the pieces to be as good as they have been this year. It's been a surprise for me.
Definitely so.
So my next question that I want to ask is, I saw this video of you. I think you had an emotional moment. I think you were back home here in Indy during season.
Sure.
It's tough. You never know what to expect. I was just that little kid coming out here, grew up on 34th and Meridian.
To be that deeply in love with the game of basketball and deeply in love with where you're from, like, can you talk about that? And
my childhood dream was always to play for the Pacers, and I got to do that as a kid. Growing up watching the Reggies and the Mark Jacksons and the Davis brothers and Smiths and all of them. That was my dream. So I got to live that dream. And it's stuff that I never take for granted. I didn't have anything growing up as a kid. My mom struggled. My dad and mom wasn't ever together. So, growing up in a broken home, you're living half your life with one and half your life with the other one, back and forth, and trying to make ends meet when your mom may not have the job and she's trying to put food on the table and your dad's doing the same thing. So just being grateful. And it's been the people that I've had in my life and around Indianapolis that has pushed me and made me who I am and molded me who I am. So that's why I always, show so much love there, try to give back when I can there and do things for the city. But it's something for me that's just bigger than basketball. It's just life itself that, I can go down the board of all the people that have molded me in different ways to make me the person I am. And I think without those people, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Oh, man, that's special, bro. Having a good backbone. Sometimes it might not be financial, but you have a lot of people that'll come through, that'll support you mentally, push you, help you get strong and help you get better. And you just have that connection with them. You just have the connection and the bond with the city. And it's a special thing to have. Continuing on, man, I just want to ask you one last question here. I want to say, who is the hardest NBA player in your career that you've played? I mean, I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you had San Antonio, Indy, Sacramento, Utah, Sacramento.
Utah, Sac, Cleveland, Milwaukee.
Uh-huh. And so, like, obviously you've had a great career and you play for a lot of teams. You played against a lot of players who are past their prime, a lot of players that were in their prime, a lot of players that are coming up. Who can you tell me was the hardest player for you to personally to guard?
I have two. I feel like rest in peace, Kobe was one of the hardest players I've ever guarded. Not because he's just going to cross you up or things like that. It's just, I consider myself as a great defender in the league. I've always been known as a defender here in the NBA, but doing all you can and the shots that he hit are like, man, I know he's not hitting this. My defense was great right now, and he's going to bust your head no matter what. So he was one of the hardest guys I ever guarded, just because no matter how good of a defense you played, he was going to make things happen. And he had that drive. He had that competitive determination, like we talked about Jordan did, that there's no way that I'm losing this game. If it's going to lose, then I'm going down swinging. But other than that, it's probably crazy because most people probably won't think this, but Manu Ginobili was probably one of the hardest players I've ever had to guard.
Mm-hmm. What made him so special? Was it the footwork? Was it the shiftiness?
It's the combination. It's the combination. I mean, like when we're playing one-on-one, remember I was saying, like, man, it's crazy how shifty you are, how everybody's like, oh, Jew is slow. Well, Jew moves the way he knows how to move. You can be slow all you want to, but if you get to your spots, there's nothing you can do. You can be slow all you want. You know what I mean? Brandon Roy was slow, but he was effective.
Exactly.
So my thing is, it's like it wasn't nothing about, like, it was how shifty he was, how smart his IQ was, phenomenal. Shot making, his shot fake, and his Euro steps, and he brought the Euro step over here. All those things, like, you just never. He kept you on your toes, moving without the ball, driving, tenacity, like his drive, like everything about him was crazy. And I only say it because I had to guard him every day in practice. On top of when I didn't play in San Antonio anymore, I was normally guarding him. So he's one of the toughest players I've ever had to play against.
Yeah, I think the first one you said, obviously Kobe, man. Kobe was just unbelievable, man. It's just some of the stuff that I saw Kobe do, and it was literally like the craziest thing about Kobe is you knew one of two things he was going to do. Most times, it was just a move and a counter to a move, but there was nothing you could do about it.
He's going to get to that spot. He's going to pump fake 3 times. He's going to hit you with a shoulder, pump fake again, and he's going to fade and shoot. But there was nothing that you can do about it. You knew it was coming. You're telling yourself, oh, right, left, shifty, in and out, pump fake. I got him, pump fake. And you're like, I know I got good defense right here, and your head's busted.
That's
nothing you can do.
Kobe's bag was deep, man. Manu's one I've never heard. I've definitely heard KD. I've heard Melo. I've heard James Harden. But it was just interesting to get your take as an NBA player who's been successful and is a defender on the players that have been tough for you to guard, man. So thank you for your time, G Hill. We're going to end it with this segment right here. I always like to end the show with a wager for charity or, something along those lines. So sure. My wager is $100. If you accept, I'm going to give you a riddle or a question that you got to answer. If you get it right, I got to pay. You get it wrong, you got to pay. You good with that? Okay.
I'm good with that, but hey, I've been having my kids at homeschool, bro. I'm not smarter than a pre-K student right now. They have me trying to feel. They got me here trying to draw owls and all type of stuff. I was like, I'm not an artist. I'm not a riddle guy, but come on, I'm down.
Okay. I think that there's over 5 D1 schools in Indiana. You have 10 seconds to name them. Go.
IUPUI, IU, Butler.
Oh, you're from the city. That was you late. You lost, but there's IPFW. There's Evansville.
IU, IUPUI, Butler,
Purdue.
Well, I ain't saying Purdue. They ain't never recruit me, so I ain't never gonna say Purdue.
Oh, okay. I feel you on that. Hey, they ain't messing with me either. You turned out all right. I
almost didn't want to say Butler because Butler didn't offer me either. And I was right in their backyard, so I don't want to say those schools.
Ain't got nothing. Imagine if you and Gordon, will you and Gordon ever play together?
We would have played 1 year together.
Yeah, I mean his freshman year, that would have been the national championship.
I've never. It's crazy because like you said, I averaged almost 38 points in Indy. Never got a look from Butler. Not one.
Hold on. Say that. I knew you got buckets. You averaged what in high school?
I was 36.8 or something like that.
Golly, getting buckets. I mean, however you wanted it.
I had IU. I had IUPUI. I had every other school in Indiana. Indiana State. I had Temple. I had Florida. I had USC. Like I had all these schools. I didn't have Butler and I didn't have Purdue.
And it's just 37 in the game, and the teams in your own state couldn't mess with you.
That's my thing now, man. Like I feel like none of these Indiana schools like to recruit Indiana guys.
I agree with that.
So much talent there in Indy they're in your backyard. No matter if they come, you offer.
I think that exactly. I think that especially these teams that get this name, or like a Purdue or a Butler, especially coming up, they might overlook a guy saying, well, we're Butler or we're Purdue. We can go do this. We can go do that. We got a bunch of in-state guys, especially in this state that
are
just
good,
flat
man.
out hoop, man. That can hoop.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, man. G Hill, man, appreciate you for your time. Hopefully you'll get through this whole Corona quarantine and everything efficiently, better out of it. And if you guys continue season, good luck, man. I'm rooting for you every single day.
Always. You send me a cash app, 100.
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to you. We gonna get that done, man. I appreciate you for your time, brother. Have a good evening.
All right, right on, brother.
All right, man. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Sports Bunker Podcast. Hopefully you guys liked it and enjoyed it. Please leave your comments, like it, share it, subscribe, all of the above. I appreciate your support. See you next time.
Get on my way.